effective communication, speech is overrated and touch is underrated. So, to me, effective communication is all about connecting. It's all about being able to reach out to someone else.
And we're going to be discussing on effective communication. And of course, as usual, we have a team of panelists. They're going to introduce themselves and they will get started. I want to start with Wambufo.
Thank you, Joel. My name is Chukwunonso Nwabufo. I'm a senior research associate at Gilead Sciences, and I'm very excited to be here to discuss effective communication.
Awesome, awesome. Who wants to go next? Introduce yourself.
Um,
Say something.
Okay,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
name is hi there, hello everybody. My name is Tommy Alaki or Tomiwa Alaki. I'm a current student at NITS. Going for my bachelor in technology, and yeah, so I'm a student right now. That's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Welcome aboard, Tomiwa. And Paul, you want to introduce yourself?
yeah, thank you very much, Joel. Very excited to be here today. Hello, everyone. My name is Omozuje Paul Agbogun. I'm currently a PhD candidate in chemistry at the University of Saskatchewan, and I'm also the founder of Useful and Powerful Podcast. And I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. You're all welcome aboard, everyone. And of course, thank you for joining me to have this exciting conversation. And to our viewers out there, this promises to be exciting. And that is because we are talking on effective communication. I believe this is one topic everybody is excited about. Everybody wants to learn how to improve their skills on communication. And definitely it's a great tool that we must have in our toolbox. Yeah. So everyone talks, right? Everyone communicates, but the truth of the matter is that very few people connect. So those who do not connect take their relationships. I mean, those who do connect take their relationship, their work, and their lives to another level. That is for a fact. And of course, according to Harvard Business Review, the number one criteria for advancement and promotion for professionals is an ability to communicate effectively. So that is a fact, and we see how important it is. So I just want us to briefly, you know, tell the viewers what we think about effective communication. What do we mean when we say effective communication? What does that mean to you? In a layman language. Very briefly. I would like to start with Chukunoso. What does effective communication mean to you? Is it just to communicate? If what does that mean?
Thank you for that question, Joel. As I continue to think about it, I think with communication, it's between two people, at least two or more people. And if a communication is effective, then that means that the two people understand each other, that there is a clear, the information that is being passed on is being received clearly. There is no breach in that communication. And again, if we begin to look at this more broadly, then we can begin to think about other things that can potentially breach that understanding with what the person is trying to convey and the person who is receiving it. So I would describe effective communication as one in which, the two parties, two or more parties that are involved, have that understanding. The information that is being passed across is clear, is clearly received.
Wow, awesome. Information clearly received by two parties, is an effective communication. That is truth, as defined by Kingsley Chukunoso. And what about you, Paul? Very, very briefly, I don't want us to drag on this too long, but what does it mean to you, an effective communication?
Thank you very much, Joel. What I'm going to define is not far-fetched from what Chukwudonso just said. I totally agree with him. I'm going to start with a quote I recently heard from John Maxwell. I was listening to his podcast, John Maxwell podcast, and he said something. In effective communication, speech is overrated and touch is underrated.
Mm.
You know what I mean? In effective communication, speech is overrated and touch is underrated. So, to me, effective communication is all about connecting. It's all about being able to reach out to someone else or to a group of people, right? It's not just all about talking and saying words loudly or trying to be convincing, right? It's being able to reach out, being able to touch, right? That is what effective communication means to me, where someone can actually felt like they've been reached out to and they've been able to connect to you. They understand you. They understand where you're coming from. They understand your reasoning behind a certain proposition. That is what effective communication means to me in layman's term, I would say.
Wow, wow. I love that too. In addition to what Chukwunoso has already said, you simply put what you just said is that effective communication is connection, and it goes beyond talk. That is why you said speech is overrated. I love that. I will come to that definitely. Just like you said that speech or talk is overrated, I want to agree with that because talk is easy. Everybody talks. The question is, how can you make your words count? How can you really communicate with others? And then that comes to mind what you just said. The essence of communication is connection. Learning to connect with people can definitely change your life. So, and what the question is, what is the goal of connecting? Why do we need to connect? Since effective communication, is all about connecting, touching people, influencing people's life and all that. So what is the goal of connecting? Can we just elaborate on that? I know we've already said that we want to touch people, want to influence lives. So what is the goal, more elaborately, for connecting with people? I would like to take off with Tomiwa, to you, talking about connecting, for effective communication, right? So what is the goal? Why do we need to connect? Why do we need to connect? Ordinarily, some people will be like, it makes you an effective leader. That's what people will say. You can't become an effective leader, if you don't know how to connect. Which other angles, can you talk on, the reason for connecting?
I would say if you don't connect with people when you communicate with them, you can never really belong. You don't have a sense of belonging. I'll give you a practical example. When I came to Canada from Nigeria, I did 1 year of high school here. I didn't need to do that. I could have easily gone straight into university and all of that. But I think there was a purpose why I was made to do that. Because in that short experience, that 1 year, I was able to connect with people, just be myself. Like, I was Nigerian, I didn't change for anybody. I was fresh off the boat and I spoke a certain way, but I was still able to communicate my cultural things to people of different cultural background or race, and I was able to learn their own culture. And now I have the best of both worlds. I can act a certain way, I can also act the other way. I can relate and connect with people, so it's allowed my influence to grow. It can allow me to go into a leadership position. It can allow me to have a sense of belonging to both sides of the world. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. It increases your influence in every situation. Once your influence increases, you become a better leader. People can listen to you, they follow you, because your influence is real. They can feel your influence over them, right? It allows you to become a better leader, and you can relate with people from diverse, ethnic and cultural, groups, which is very good. Like you said, someone from Africa in Canada relating with all kind of people, and you see, it is very, very important. Chukwunoso, do you have anything to add to that briefly?
Yeah, I think that the way I look at the connecting, so just to add a little bit to what Tomiwa has said, is with respect to the environment, thinking about trying to read the room and thinking about your audience. What's really important to them? What you're saying, is it something that they can connect to? I look at it as you being maybe a musician and you're talking to an audience full of chemists, right? That will be a disconnect, obviously, except if you find a way to connect to them in a language that they will understand. And so when we want to communicate with people, we are trying to find a common ground. The common ground is often what breeds that connection. And from there, in fact, the first few minutes of every communication, you are actually trying, scouting in your mind how you can find a common ground. And then when that common ground is established, you can now go on and talk about the main thing that has brought you to that place.
Wow, wow, awesome, perfectly said. So in summary, you see, connecting is the ability to identify with people and to relate with them in a way that increases your influence, with them. And of course, why is that important? Because the ability to communicate and connect with others is a major determining factor in reaching your potential. Yeah, so just like Chukin also said, if you cannot have a common ground with people, then it's difficult for you to pass an information. You see, there's a bridge, there's a gap, and that becomes a problem. People be like, what you are saying, I cannot even hear what you are saying, because there's no common ground. You are trying to impose, information, people get bored. There's no communication where you are just passing information, and the information is not of any interest to the person you are communicating with. So to be successful, you must work with others. You guys must have a common ground. Yeah, you guys, it's like connecting is a journey. You guys have to meet at a place and journey together. But if there's a gap, someone is talking from this side, this other person talking from the other side, then there's a disconnect and there's going to be problem, and you guys cannot succeed in what you're doing. If it's an organization, then there's going to be a problem. And to do that at your absolute best, you must learn to connect, to be successful, to maximize your potential. So wonderfully said, guys. Now, how do you know, talking about connection, right? How do you know connection has been made? For example, you are with someone, discussing with somebody, or you are talking in front of an audience. How do you know you've made a connection? You can share from personal experiences. For me, one way I used to know is unsolicited appreciation. For example, I was speaking with a friend a few days ago. She's from Ghana, and then as we were speaking, she was just saying, "Hi, Joel, it's been a while since you left Bowling Green, Kentucky. We've missed you a lot." I said, "Oh yeah, I've missed you guys too." She said, "No, not just that." She began to recount so many things I've done. To me, I didn't feel like I've done anything special. You remember how you just asked me, Esther, you need to get some stuff from the shop, from Walmart. Do you need to go get some stuff from the boutique, stuff like that? And she'll be like, "Oh yeah, but I don't want to disturb you." I'll be like, "No, no, no, don't mention." She'll be like, "It's not that you need anything from the store, but I will just go the extra mile and give her a ride to Walmart and stuff like, oh, where else do you need to go? You need to get some food stuff," just like that. And she will just recount on her own. This is unsolicited, this unsolicited appreciation. So for me, that is connection. We've connected with people just to be appreciating you without you asking them for appreciation. It tells you that you've connected with this person freely. Another thing for me is unguarded openness. The person is just open, gives you information, tells you about his or himself or herself, just like that, and increase communicate. You guys just talk. You're talking with somebody over the phone, you talk for like 2 hours. And when I thought we'll be talking for like 5 minutes, So that is interesting. So what else do you guys have to share on that? Paul, do you have anything to say? To you, what are these signals? You look out for, for you to believe that you've connected with, with that person or with people.
I would say one way you can know is not 100% always that. The one way is people go the extra mile for you. People are willing to go the extra mile for you. And this is why we talk about communication as being connecting, right? When you've connected to someone and that person has felt your touch, and as Chukwun also said, you both have a common ground, right? That person is willing to go the extra mile for you because the person feels that you are worth it. They feel that they have a common ground with you. They feel you are both going towards the same goal. So they don't mind going the extra mile for you. And this is very important when it comes to leadership. John Maxwell wrote a book, Five Levels of Leadership. And the basic level of leadership is positional leadership, where people do something for you based on your position and not because you've connected with them. The levels of leadership you want to attain are those people are willing to work for you, go the extra mile because they feel that you've connected with them. So one way people know, or one way you can know you've connected with someone is based on them wanting to go the extra mile. Then quickly, another way is people are inspired. People are inspired when you connect with them, not because you're trying to motivate them, but because they feel like this person really understands. This person really knows what I'm going through. This person really understands what I'm feeling, right? And they're inspired by your words, they're inspired by your actions, right? So that's another way people you've connected with someone is people become inspired, and that's also tied to being influential.
Wow, wow, awesome, nice one. People go the extra mile, and that is true. You begin to wonder, why is this person doing all this? Why? Because you've connected. You don't have to force it. Be like, oh, these people are disobedient, these people are rebellious, and that is the situation where even with your children, people think that it's just to connect with outsiders. You don't have to focus on connecting with your children, with your wife. No, you have to. If you connect with your children, they will listen to you more. They will listen. When you tell them don't do that, they will listen because you'll be able to connect with them. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to go too far, which is very, very essential. According to John Maxwell, if you cannot find a way to connect in different situations of your life, you will be forever frustrated. Have you ever been in a situation, maybe you need promotion in the office, and you've done everything and your boss doesn't see what you're doing. You feel like you've done everything right. What is going on? Every other person that have not even done what you've done in that place are getting promoted, and you just get frustrated. You are giving a seminar presentation, and people are not just getting it, and you've worked so hard because you've been unable to connect with the audience, and you just get frustrated. So in other words, connecting makes or break you. What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree on that? That if you can be able to connect properly, then it makes you, you achieve so much. But if you don't connect very well, then it becomes a challenge. What are your thoughts on this? What do you have to say on that, Tomiwa?
I've actually been in that kind of situation in my previous professional workplace. I had one person, well, because this is going public, I won't mention his name, but I could obviously tell there was some kind of what you would call like a beef between us. And me being a Christian and me spirit led, there I was like, okay, how am I going to handle this? Do I let this resentment build, or do I look past it? And funny enough, there was another like brother of ours, like from the same country as I am, and he told me that yeah, this is the kind of thing I would expect, but this is how you could handle it. So I took some advice from what he said, but I also the Holy Spirit gave me an idea as well on how to manage those situations, and it came from me just being in a sense humble to kind of swallow my own ego and just make restitution with that person. And most importantly, I think aside that, I also went as far as I suggested to the entire office. Meanwhile, my plan was to target this person, but I now made it like a office thing where we scheduled. We used to go for badminton. We played badminton, and so basically, I created an atmosphere where we could always spend time out of the office because I felt that a lot of time that resentment or that issue was stemming from the work. And you know how work is, everybody wants to do and excel and outdo themselves, that you get caught up in breaking connection and relationship. But what connects people together as family? Because I mean, most of us are in the corporate world or are trying to get there. I'm not a big fan. I'm by the grace of God, I want to get to own my business and try something different. But in that same realm of things, how do we still connect amongst ourselves? I feel like I was thinking about it, and I felt like the only way is to spend time to know these people, and that could be through an avenue of sports. And through that, that person that I thought resented me, we built off that, and we walked off it and we laughed it off. And even when those little issues came up, it wasn't as crazy because you've seen a nicer side of this person. You're just like, the work is tedious, it's the work. You're not channeling the kind of resentment towards the person, but rather it's going to be channeled towards, okay, how can we make the work much better? Yeah.
Okay, that is great. You know, how can you make the work much more better? So in other words, connecting is very, very important.